नमस्कार सभी को बोल दादा बोल के ये प्लेटफॉर्म में once again welcome. This is your own storytelling platform, not ours, and as usual, prior to getting into the story of the day, a big thank you for all of you for the feedback and the support which we have been receiving. Well, looking at the Indian football scenario, Indian football is on the threshold of breaking a 53-year-old record at the Asian Games in men's football and creating an entirely new one in women's football at the Asian Games. Confused? Don't really be. Because the situation that Indian football is going through at the moment, all positivity all around, there's no reason why these two records cannot be achieved by the Indian football team. Both the men's team, which is an under 23 team precisely with 3 overage players, and the women's team. Now if you look back, there was a kind of, if I call it, a tussle between the Indian Olympic Association, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. I don't call it a tussle, an opinion, a difference of opinion, and obviously the All India Football Federation on whether the teams, both the teams, men and women, should be cleared for the Asian Games or not. The government, whether the Indian football fraternity agrees or not, had put in a criteria that only the top 8 performers would be allowed to go out to play in the Asian Games. We agree it or not, that was the criteria. And the talks which followed, and eventually it reached the Honorable Prime Minister of the country was also approached, and the teams were cleared. The draws have been extremely favourable, because rarely have Indian football been handed such good draws which on the surface, on paper, seems very easy. Now when you speak to coaches all over the world, not just in India, each and every coach, be it in whichever sport it will be, for obvious and understandable and right reasons, will make all believe that games are tricky, anything can happen in sports, and I'm not doubting it at all. But the level which Indian football, both men and women, have reached at the present moment, the draw which we have been clubbed with, makes us optimistic. Women's first. Indian women's team in the Asian Games has only participated twice, 1998 and 2014. Performance was disappointing, not good enough, but this time we stand in a very good chance. Clubbed with Chinese Taipei and Thailand and India, 3 teams in the group. Group winners go out directly into the quarterfinals. We have beaten Chinese Taipei and Thailand in the recent past, and there's no reason why we can't beat them again. It's a 50-50 match. But you know what? If we need to achieve it, we ought to do it on the field someday or the other. And what makes me optimistic is that the Women's World Cup is on at the present moment, the Women's FIFA World Cup. Sweden again, doing wonders. And the man who has kind of revolutionized women's football coaching all over the world, and especially in Sweden, Thomas Dennerby, is in charge of the Indian women's national team. Someone who just means business and is hell-bent and totally determined in taking the Indian women's team to higher echelons. Some of the players are already playing abroad. Bala Devi was playing abroad. Manisha Kalyan, one of the brightest prospects, is playing abroad. These are the things of positive parts of Indian football, women's football, which sometimes we do overlook. On this platform of Bol Dada Bol, we will be going big on Indian women's football very soon. There's no reason why we get out of the group into the quarterfinals, and if we are group champions, maybe we get someone in the play against someone who's beatable in the quarterfinals. Obviously, in the quarterfinals, it would be anybody's game. It would be a very tricky situation, but we ought to achieve that someday or the other. Moving on to the men's football aspect, I would say, go on record to say, a semi-final spot is very much possible. A 53-year-old record can be broken. People again may be raising their eyebrows and say, hey, let's go step by step. Absolutely not. Again, performance in the Asian Games of the Indian men's team has not been up to the mark. 2010, we went to the round of 16. Prior to that, 1982 Asiad. into the quarterfinals, and the last medal which we won was a bronze in 1970. This time we have a chance of getting into the semis. We have been clubbed in a group with host China, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and obviously us. All three are beatable in the group. People may be again raising eyebrows and say, hey, China beatable. Chinese football, despite all what China have achieved in all other disciplines of sports, has not quite kicked off at all. And under 23 is still considered youth football. Still considered, though most of the players are senior players already, part of the senior team. If you look back at the Chinese youth football, they have been struggling or kind of been at the same level as the Indian youth teams. So there's no reason for us to be beating China in China despite them being the host nation. And hey, if we can't beat Bangladesh and Myanmar, even without the senior players, then we should not be boasting that we have moved an inch ahead. I understand there are talks going on over the release of players. I understand all of them would be available for the Asian Games. And the squad, I have the squad in front of me. It's not an under 23 squad, it's an entirely Indian senior team squad. 3 senior players named in the team: Gurpreet Sandhu, Sandesh Jhingan, Sunil Chhetri. And the squad is Gurpreet in the goalkeeper side, Gurpreet, Dheeraj. I'm just taking the prominent names who have been there in the national team camps. Hardly makes a difference. Obviously, Gurpreet Sandhu is Gurpreet Sandhu. Defenders: Sandesh Jhingan, Anwar Ali, Akash Mishra. The 3 defenders who start for the Indian senior national team. All 3 of them there. Who the others? Roshan Singh, Ashish Rai, equal good prospects. Narendra Gehlot, another central defender, also in the mix, who has played for the senior team, scored for the senior team. You cannot get a better defensive line than that. Midfielders: Jackson Singh, Suresh Singh, Apuya. All 3 senior team startup players. Each and every day, the coach, as per the opponent, strategizes and just shifts between the 3 of them. We have Naurem Mahesh Singh, who's the new kid on the block, who's been quite a revelation, also a part of the senior team. So we have 4 senior players, starters kind of, who can start any day in the midfield, along with wingers like Rahul KP and one of my favorite winger, Rahul KP, and Vikram Pratap Singh. Any of 2 of them can on any day step into the Indian national team setup. Amarjit Singh, Kiam, the under-17 World Cup captain, is also in the mix of things. What more do we require? Up front, Shiva Shakti is there. There's Raimali, Aniket Yadav, who have played for the national team. And let's not forget Rohit Danu, and most importantly, Sunil Chhetri. So this gives us the edge. And if we are able to top the group, which I believe is a very, very big possibility for us, you move into the round of 16, getting a relatively and comparatively easier opponent on paper in the round of 16, and then you move into the quarters. Again, a comparatively or relatively an easier opponent on paper. I reiterate, even Bangladesh on paper may seem very, very difficult, but on the field, they would be putting us into tight spot, trying their wholehearted effort to kind of beat us on the field. Why not? That's international sports. But Indian football has moved ahead. And this is the team which was there almost in the under-22 qualifiers in Dubai 2 years back. The crux of the team, the nucleus of the team is from the FIFA Under-17 World Cup squad. It's an Under-24 squad this season, which has kind of enabled us to get some extra players. We don't want a repeat, even as the support from the Indian football fraternity will always be there. From the side of the fans, we don't want a repeat. After 4 years, the AIF administration again going and pleading to the Indian Olympic Association, to the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, and again to the Honorable Prime Minister of the country, please give us another chance to play in the World Cup. There are 2 aspects of sporting world. Of Indian football, which I say, the intent has always been there. Any sports person who goes out to play sport, be it at the domestic level, national level, at the international level, the intent is always to do well. This time, there's competence in the team. And it's time for us, the teams, to rise to the occasion and tell everyone, hey, we have arrived, We do not need to beg. There should be 2 semi-final spots secured by both the men and the women's team. Women's semi-final is a bit tight, but the men's semi-final is absolutely possible. And I'm not kidding. Because unless we do that, again 4 years down the line, the then AIFF president will have to go back and plead, please हमारा टीम को clear कर दीजिए. कितना देर तक? Kudos to the AIFF management, Mr. Kalyan Chauve, the president and the secretary general, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, for getting the green signal. But we need to pay them back. The team needs to pay them back. As fans, we need to stay by their side, support them, and then let's see what happens at the Asian Games. That was a thought that came to my mind. Updates will be continuing on our channel, on our platform, which is your storytelling platform. If you feel our content is good enough to engage you, spread the word. Subscribe us. And if you feel, अरे बकवास है, कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, avoid us. That's all what we can say. We would be back very soon, going big on women's football, into the live chats from all aspects of all paradigms of the society. Till then, bye bye. Thank you. बोलते रहिएगा, बोलता रहिएगा.